Good evening. Since it is 6 p.m., I will now call the Boquet Valley Central School District's December Board of Education meeting to order. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance to the flag? Three, district's vision. As a reminder to all of why we are all here, the vision of the Boquet Valley Central School District is to become the best rural school in New York State. We will accomplish our vision by providing exceptional opportunities to all learners and preparing them to set and reach their future goals by embedding our core values into their student experience. Number 4, roll call. Mrs. Belzile, would you please take the roll call for attendance?
Tom Broderick.
Here.
Paige Potter Saltamont.
Here.
Paul Fenton.
Here.
Darlene Hooper.
Here.
Sarah Coleman.
Here.
Deborah Spalding.
Here.
Jason Welch.
Here.
Sadie Burgess. Here.
Okay, number 5, attendees. If you haven't done so already, would you please sign in so we can have an accurate record, attendance record. The sign-in sheet is located on the table by the entrance. Thank you for your cooperation. Number 6, the Smith Leadership Group presentation. Dr. Meyer, would you please introduce our presenter?
Thank you. Yes, we have Dr. Bob Bridenstine here, who's going to walk us through the special education audit. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening on behalf of myself, Bob Bridenstine, and members of our Schmidt Leadership Group. We have had the distinct pleasure for about the last 5.5 months of being in district, working with stakeholders, reviewing your special education program. And I'm going to deviate a little bit from what I was originally going to start with, but I have to tell you, I've been to probably over 1,000 school board meetings in my career as a superintendent and as a school board administrator, and now 3.5 years into retirement. You're the only district that starts the meeting with a reflection of your goals and your commitment to students. And we often don't take that moment in time to recognize good practice that is probably normal for you, but I can tell you it's absolutely not typical for school districts. They jump in, they start, they can't wait to get into the meeting, and they leave the students and the history of the district behind. So just as a lifelong educator dating back to Reagan's second term in office, I can really applaud you and appreciate that. So Dr. Mayor, is there a clicker here for me, or are you going to do this? Okay, so just a little bit about myself and our leadership group. I was primarily the face of this study in the district. Most school districts, when it comes to special ed, just let it happen. Strong, effective leadership teams, as they do in the NFL, they review game film on a regular basis. And that's essentially what this study was. We looked at everything from top to bottom, A to Z, soup to nuts, to take a look at what's working, what's causing frustrations, and the great opportunities in the district. As a lifelong educator, I've served in every role and capacity, from elementary principal, special ed service provider, director, assistant superintendent, and superintendent. Our group has done well over 20 of these studies in the last 2.5 years, from districts with 1,500 special ed students and 10,000 students to a district with 124 K-12 students. So we take a look at what you're doing, and I'm proud to say that you're doing well. There are still opportunities for growth, and we're going to get into that. Josh, if you would mind. So what we did in coming into this process, we fundamentally sought to answer 3 questions. How well is the special education department meeting the needs of students? Are the students making progress? And do the students have a generally good experience? That last one is a little hard to quantify, but when you add A plus B, we can start to answer the third question, C. I'm happy to report that the answer is a resounding yes in every one of those areas. Yes, the department is meeting the students' needs. Yes, students are making progress. Very good progress when you look at exit results and exit data. And students are having a good experience in school. That doesn't mean it can't be better. It can always be better. And what we tell districts when we look at their special ed program, perfection is not a goal. This is an imperfect process. It's an imperfect system of providing very intensive services or very limited services to a wide range of students. The goal should not be perfection. It's not attainable. And I can tell you, with about 40 years of experience, if you chase perfection, you're going to become more and more frustrated. The goal is continuous improvement and progress to meeting the needs of your students. You may be close to perfection this year, and then your student demographics change, the population changes, staff models change, curriculums change, and everything starts all over again. Special ed is perpetually in transition. And so we take a look at that. As I said, really effective districts do this kind of deconstructive work on a very regular, prescriptive basis to kick the tires and find out what's working and what's not working. So the fact that the district is doing this without court order, without commissioner mandates, without federal class action lawsuits. I told Sean earlier when I took my first directorship in a district of just under 9,000 students, 1,400 special ed students, I walked in day one from the elementary school with 9 impartial hearings, 2 federal class actions, and about 20 union grievances. Districts that deconstruct and reassemble their program in a truly cooperative manner survive that. We survived that because it took a lot of collaborative effort, and you're going to hear some frequent themes. Josh, if you would advance it. When we look at this work, we take it from the lens 3+1. Compliance, everything you do must be legal, compliant, and absolutely copacetic with policy and procedure. Many districts, every district, has variations of compliance difficulty, and I'll explain that when I get to compliance. We look at capacity. What is your ability to flex and grow? Think of it like an accordion. It might be great day one, a few students come, a few students go, new students get identified, staff members go on maternity leave. That capacity fluctuates. It's always a moving target. And then when talking with stakeholders, we come up with common sense solutions. And that plus, when you look at all 3 of those, you have opportunities for growth. Even in the darkest days, there's opportunity for growth. So in the audit process, we took a very deep, comprehensive view. We took a deep data dump of your current database. That's all of the IEPs, all of the programs for students that are currently attending school, from pre-K to the oldest students, 21 or potentially 22 years old. We dumped the database, and I will tell you that for Sean and for the district leadership team should be a regularly operational standard, because when you dump the database and the programs into a spreadsheet, anomalies will jump off the page and you can see potential risk factors. We also take a very comprehensive look at stakeholder interviews, and with the stakeholder interviews that we did over the summer and into the fall, and then the follow-up conversations, the stakeholders were dynamic, engaging, honest, critical, collaborative. They were exactly what you would expect high-quality staff members to do when they're given an opportunity to discuss and dialogue. And then we did a forensic dive into all the historical files. If the current database tells you what's happening now and your stakeholders tell you the hopes, dreams, wishes, and aspirations, the holistic approach in the historical files give you a clear perspective of where some of the issues evolve over time. Many districts continue to do in special ed what they've always done because of transition, time, and talent. If any one of those 3 factors, time, talent, and transitions, happen, then there will be potential risk factors. We took a look at every conceivable data point, over 33,000 separate data points. Normally in a study, we would do about 10 to 12, maybe 14,000 data points. After we started this, when the transition occurred and stakeholders said, can you look at this? Can you look at that? We talked with Dr. Meyer and we increased that to 45% of the IEPs and 33,000 data points, which for a district this size is substantial. A district that we did in central New York, just under 10,000 students, about 1,400 special ed students, we looked at about 20,000 data points and we had a pretty clear picture. So this is by far the most deep dive we've done into a single district in our 20 or so reviews. Josh. When we looked at the stakeholder interviews, they're about 30 to 60 minutes in length. The buildings were involved and engaged. There was follow-up commentary, follow-up conversations to point us in a direction of concern, to reinforce strengths, to help identify frustrations. And as I said, the commentary was direct, honest, and insightful. It was critical that we heard the voices of the people doing the work so that we could verify all of the data findings. In the report that we did, there's no instance in the report where there's a single one-off statement that had weight or credibility. Everything in the report had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 separate verifiable assurances that that was in fact happening. There is a tendency with special ed that there's a one-hit wonder, one frustration, and then that dominates the conversation. In our report, everything that we detailed, we found multiple instances to confirm its internal validity and the strength and the urgency of which that needs to be addressed. As I said, we looked at every element in the document from the district website. 45% of the IEPs were touched. Historically, we looked at testing reports, progress monitoring. If it's written and it's part of the record, we looked at it. The one thing that we do as part of this process is we redact the personally identifiable information. For us in our work, the name doesn't matter. Date of births matter, age matters, program recommendations matter, and the content of the documents matter to make sure that they're compliant and build capacity so that we can meet the needs of students. We looked at consent documentation, schedules, all of the hard data that's in print. We took a look at in multiple ways and confirmed whether it was supporting students, not supporting students, or a frustration that could be addressed through some minor programmatic changes. Josh, if you would. And so we looked at compliance, capacity, and common sense. You'll see in the report tons of repetition. That's a good thing in this context. That helps narrow. And the one thing that I shared almost a half day after I'd started, the staff members, which was probably about 15 or 18 at that time, at that first half day, I was pretty confident and clear after that first half day of what the top 3 or 4 priorities were going to be. Most stakeholder groups are kind of all over the place, and it takes a little bit of time. This staff was laser precision clear that they wanted certain things to happen, and that was administration, clerical, and instructional staff, as well as related service staff. It was really reassuring. It made our work a lot easier to dig and find some of those issues. And the key priorities were stakeholder engagement, the people doing the work, the leadership team in place, transitions across the district recently and over a 5, 6, 7-year period, the priorities of the district, and then professional development. Josh, please. So compliance. You have significant timeline variations, and think of timeline variations very simply. There's a timeline and a requirement. Think of it like your New York State car inspection. It's due at the end of the month. Sometimes we push over that. It's not a huge deal. You try the week before and then you can't get an appointment, and then you get in the 2nd or 3rd of the next month. That's kind of what we're talking about. There's often conflicting regulations. You have to have a meeting, the department's ready to have it, it's scheduled, all the notices go out, mom or dad calls up the day before, I gotta work, cancel the meeting. So you either ignore the parent's request and have the meeting anyways. No one recommends that. That would really be bad for stakeholders. Or you push the meeting and then you have the meeting as soon as possible. If you talk with your school attorney, I'm not an attorney, but I've been sued a lot as a special ed administrator. If you have conflicting regulations, err on the side of what's in the best interest of community stakeholder engagement to support the student. If the parent says, have the meeting without me, have the meeting, no timeline issue. If the parent really wants to be there and says, cancel the meeting, I think most folks would agree that's a non-technical issue. Engage the stakeholders and do that. Across the board, there are lots of timeline issues that needs to be cleaned up. It's a 1 calendar cycle. As Sean and I have spoken, every time you touch the document, you make sure that it's compliant with the timeline. And if not, you just make a notation of why. It may not be an issue, but long-term, you want to make sure you're meeting those timeline issues. Very minor issue to correct. There are some technical issues within the IEP, regulatory consistency and voice. The document should be in student voice first, parent voice second, stakeholder voice third. Oftentimes, we talk about Johnny can't do this, Johnny can't do this, Johnny's done this, poor Johnny, okay? And we don't talk about the strengths of the student, and that's a professional development need for the district. Most districts have difficulty putting the document into student voice first, parent voice second. And we've talked about some strategies in which that can happen. Again, the document isn't out of compliance, but it can be more compliant and a better document. When you have recommendations, and I'm talking pretty much program ratios, 15:1, 6:1:1, 8:1:1, there are lots of instances in the study where the recommendations from a numeric standpoint or a program standpoint vary from the regulations. The standard rule and best practice is stick with the regulatory guidance in the Part 200 regulations, customize the present level statements, everybody's happy, and it's a better, clearer, simpler document. I'll share with you just a quick analogy as to where the train can come off the tracks. We worked with the district, and their IEPs, honest to God, were about 80 pages long. Nobody's reading them. It really was not a well-intended document. And what we found through reviewing it is they started, Johnny, poor Johnny, again, I apologize if anybody's named Johnny. Johnny has difficulty with regular bowel movements, needs to be set on a timer, and 15-minute timers so Johnny doesn't have an accident in class. And the document was about 3 inches thick. I'm thinking, this student is profoundly handicapped. I can understand why the document is so thick. And as we perused the document, we got to the transition plan, and Johnny's goal was to go to an Ivy League college. Looked at that first statement and the transition plan, and something didn't align. They were taking every present level statement for that student that had ever been created and adding it to the document. Johnny was 18 at the time, was going to an Ivy League college, had a few testing accommodations. It was on a transition plan to be declassified. Document was completely compliant. As my son says, technically right, not helpful. So that's a strategy that unless you're looking at it, and every document, for the most part, except students that transitioned into the district as new registrations, had a document that thick, because that's what they knew. So we took a look at that and made some strategic suggestions on how to make the documents cleaner, clearer, crisper, and more easily to implement. And then again, communication is always a key factor. The more you can communicate, the better with your stakeholders. Everyone speaks with a common voice and has a common understanding of the programs. Oftentimes that doesn't happen. Josh? So when we looked at risk factors from compliance, calendar dates, annual reviews, reavals, and many districts are experiencing calendar conflicts because of psychologist vacancies. And that plays a key role in this process. And there's been some positive movement in the district to get those dates realigned. Meeting timelines, start dates. There's a regulatory piece that the IEP process needs to be concluded, and then the new document implemented within that timetable, generally 60 days. Most districts follow a spring March Madness annual review schedule, which means you have an annual review in, say, February or March that doesn't start until September. Again, you've always done what you've always done. The state is looking at making districts go to a true anniversary calendar. You have a meeting February 1st, the new program starts February 2nd. Many districts are doing that. Most districts have a large percentage of their students already on an anniversary calendar. They're just not calling it that. So we've talked about how to clean that up and provide some technical assistance. And then regulation variation, as I said, when districts stray from the numbers, a 6-to-1 teacher assistant ratio to help kids out. That doesn't exist in the regulations. That doesn't exist here. But as an example, when you customize and over customize, you stray from regulations, not best practice, not easily implementable, and certainly not defendable if you find yourself in an impartial hearing. So stick with the regs. There are already substantially improved communications, visibility, and collaboration just in the past 6 months, and that will solve a lot of the frustrations that staff has. In terms of capacity, as I said, we looked at thousands of data points, and your capacity limit in the district is a function of how large you are as a district. Smaller districts struggle to provide a full continuum. Again, unless you have needs for the full continuum, which most districts don't, even large districts, you can provide very specific programming, resource room, integrated co-teaching, special class programs. You have great flexibility, and you can meet the needs of students in many different ways. If you can collaborate and partner with neighboring districts, you do appear to have some space in the district to create some programs to meet your students' needs, and then act in a capacity to fill those spots with other neighboring districts. It could be an investment in those unique programs that could be budget neutral for you. Districts are doing that. We can talk with the district about how to do that based on specific population needs. That is a way for you to be regionally a good neighbor and district and friend. And it's also a way for other districts to partner with you because they may have a program that fits your need rather than trying to create a program for one student. Just generally speaking, the break point for creating a new program is 2 students. After that, it's cost effective. If you have 1 student, it's hard. 2 students is kind of at that breaking point, particularly for special class programs. And if you have the ability to use that to entice other districts or to stabilize enrollment because you have an outstanding program, it's something worth having a collaborative conversation as a governance team and with the administrative team. I would say a point of growth is defining your programs. There's great variation in what integrated co-teaching means from building to building, teacher to teacher. I think some professional development would be wise and engages the experts that you already have on staff. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but make sure that everybody knows what the wheel is and how to do it would be helpful. And there are students that would benefit from that to have a more prescriptive integrated co-teaching model. And I would just simply say that the process of writing an IEP is something for the new administration and the district stakeholders to take a look at. There is a gap where you can provide better time and talent for your staff to write high quality exemplar IEPs. They're compliant for the most part, not major concerns, but giving staff time to write those documents in a more effective manner would be money well spent. And we do recommend minimally at reevaluation time every 3 years and every time they transition from building to building to zero out the IEP, the PLEPs, the program, the test mods, the supplemental supports, and make sure the stakeholders have time to write a document that truly reflects the student's current needs and not Johnny going to Cornell. Okay, Josh. Again, risk factors, your cohort sizes will always be a challenge for you. And the leadership team transitions, whether it's the director or key positions like psychologist or clerical, every time there is a transition in every district we've looked at, there's been a slow downward tilt towards effectiveness, implementation of compliance, and capacity building. Stability is one of the most effective strategies in special ed because you get to know kids, you get to know the stakeholders, the parents, and you get to know program, and you get to create those relationships. Districts that have lots of transitions rightly struggle. Boquet is no different. One district we worked with had 6 director vacancies in less than 18 months. They had some issues. So transition time and the ability to be stable in that position is going to produce high return on the investment. Stakeholder feedback and positive indicators. Your stakeholders love your kids. They love working here. They love their colleagues. They're frustrated by special ed. They're frustrated by time requirements. They're frustrated by communication in silos. Anything that improves that will improve the special ed program, absolutely. And your paraprofessionals are one of your strongest assets. They want to be involved more. They need some more training. They don't need, and it's not necessarily productive to say on Wednesday morning to Mrs. Smith, oh, you're going to go in with Johnny at noon today. That's your new assignment. They need time to understand the student's needs, and to the extent that you can make those transitions seamless, smooth, and without hiccups, that's going to help the paraprofessional, that's going to help instruction, and it's certainly going to help the student that needs additional paraprofessional support. A few common sense solutions that we found, all based on time, trust, and teamwork. Your staff consistently supports students with disabilities. Staff is stretched. We're not recommending additional staff based on this, but as the team will tell you, in all of our avails and in my entire career, cutting special ed services and supports does not stabilize the department. It makes it worse. You do not have a need for additional staff at this point, but to the extent that you can maybe utilize some teachers on special assignment to help with IEP reviews, helping write IEPs more effectively, or to help communicate either through a department chair model or something similar, that would be a good low-cost investment to improve communications. Differentiated professional development is a key. Not all stakeholders need the same PD. A kindergarten teacher who has 2 autistic spectrum students coming into kindergarten is going to need different professional development than a secondary teacher who's teaching 12th graders who are going to college. Don't be afraid to customize the professional development for the stakeholders. Allow everybody to take it if they want to, but provide the targeted PD to the targets for the students that you need. And again, a quick, easy step, parent voice and student voice is a priority. Start writing IEPs, and I've talked with the leadership team. There's a couple of districts that are doing bulleted IEPs, putting them in through filters and customizing them through AI filters to make sure they still have to do the data entry to talk about the student, and then the filter helps put it into student voice. You still have to edit, you still have to correct it. There's a couple of districts in Erie and Niagara County that are doing some really fantastic work with that. Some districts in the southern tier and the Binghamton area that are doing some really good work with that in terms of creating programs and aligning it with standardized tests. The key is use the technology to help save time. I talked about the paraprofessionals. They'll need some additional training. And as your cohort size is a little challenging, that's always going to be an issue with scheduling. Make sure your administrative team continues to be aware that every schedule change impacts dozens of related service providers and the implementation of related services and highly specialized programs. Before you make changes, make sure you over-communicate, make sure everybody understands what's happening and why, and seek input before making schedule changes. That's particularly important in the summer for the secondary students to make sure that their IEPs are in effect and have the type of supports. Just so you don't think it's all conflict driven, the stakeholders are valued, they're comfortable advocating for their programs. In fact, I didn't feel for a second that any stakeholder was apprehensive in sharing their true feelings. It was a dynamic, robust, and occasionally salty conversation. That's a good thing. Create and nurture and foster those opportunities. It will provide excellent bang for the buck. Professional development is critical. And I will just say this, I'm not talking about bringing in national speakers. You can do that if you want to, if you're launching a new initiative. Most of the PD supports that you need, you already have the experts on staff. And it goes back to time, talent, and trust, and allowing those individuals to create an opportunity. One of the best sources of professional development are your speech therapists, particularly in the early grade levels for language development. If you want high intense return on your investment, talk to your speech therapist, get them to talk about phonemics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, and fluency with your primary instruction teachers, and let them go to town. Give them a little bit of time. And I believe I shared with Sean a reading program that's approved for a COSER, Ignite Reading. Tremendous COVID gains Some districts are reporting 18 to 24 months gain in less than a year following this program. Doesn't replace instruction, it supports the instruction that's already happening. There's lots of examples of those high quality programs out there. PD is excellent, and it doesn't have to be sit and get or full day training. Those are some of the worst ways to get professional development. As we all know, that's not effective. Targeted, quick, intensive trainings, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours tops, get them in, let them pilot it, and then provide them the support in the classroom works really well. And a few other issues that I've talked about, you've got some space to work with other districts to meet regional needs. Your related services are really, really, really effective in providing excellent return on your investments. You have the adequate staffing, but schedule challenges exist. So for the principals, the administrative team, be mindful of that. Talk with the service providers in April, May, and June when you're talking about building your schedules, particularly at the secondary level, so that you can make sure you include those special ed students' program needs in your master schedule development. Obstacles, we've talked about conflicts with scheduling, communications, to the extent that you can eliminate silo conversations, tell it all, tell it consistently, use the same language, make sure that everybody knows what's happening is a significant improvement area that every district can benefit from. And you've already made some tremendous progress. Just from the evaluation process, there's already been steps made to try and recoup some Medicaid funding. That is just simply a pull down menu issue. I'm calling it psychological services versus counseling services, and making sure that's done by a qualified person. Many districts are in that boat. They think counseling is just counseling. And one of our teammates, Dr. Kristen Dudek, who sits on the Commissioner's Advisory Panel, has been instrumental in helping us get that word out to districts that it's a technical change, and then it opens up the door for Medicaid funding. Whether or not students qualify, that's a different story, but you don't want to put up obstacles that eliminate any source of funding. In most districts, in their annual review cycles, when it comes out, to make sure that the district has a 100% compliant document every time you touch it, and then get it back out to the staff. And that's a cleanup with the frontline system to clean up your database. Priorities, frequent staff meetings already happening. Visibility and stability happening. More planning time and IEP writing, a work in progress for the district. Oversight and review of the documents is ongoing already, and developing a professional development team may be very helpful. And in the full report, we've listed kind of a model template of a number of professional development strategies. One element that we've done consistently is the ABCs of IEPs. We've customized that to include the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 1, 2, 3s of 504s, because there's great misunderstanding of IEP processes for general ed and the 504 process for all stakeholders. So we can provide some support. And I think we've talked about the compliance, capacity, and common sense roles. That's pretty clear. I think I've covered most of those. And the last part to this is we stick around in district, not physically. I live in Buffalo, but I'm happy to come up here anytime you want. And my wife is thrilled to come up here too. But we stick around for 6 months, a year, to provide technical support, coaching for the leadership team, and even technical support for the clerical staff if they have questions about how to do things. One of the things that we're proud of is we finish the study, we give you a blueprint, but we don't finish the work. And even districts that are 2-3 years post-report, they still frequently call us and say, can you take a look at this document? We're happy to do it. It breeds better communication, it breeds better documents, and it creates the opportunity for documents that meet the needs of the students without any conflict. I can take any questions if you want. That's a lot. I could talk. Yeah. This could be a full day, but I wanted to give you a comprehensive overview. And the takeaway is you're doing fine. A few technical issues, but you're doing okay.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Bridenstine, for being here and for taking the time and effort that you and your team put forth to provide us with a very thorough audit of our special education department. I also want to thank and acknowledge the important work of our special education department and the dedication of our staff who work every day to support our students with disabilities. As part of our responsibility for oversight and continuous improvement, the district engaged your firm to conduct a comprehensive audit of K through 12 special education programs. The goal was to obtain an objective, detailed assessment of our systems, practices, and compliance with state and federal requirements. We recognize that our staff has been operating through significant leadership transitions, staffing changes, and the many disruptions of recent years. So we appreciate their commitment and professionalism during that time. Now, in reviewing the audit, I personally identified several serious concerns detailed within the findings. These included some compliance issues, scheduling irregularities, document inconsistencies, data entry errors, procedural gaps as well. Issues were also noted regarding PLEP statements, tort calculations, related service coding, and overall program oversight. These findings point to systematic challenges that really need to be addressed. Now, at the same time, the audit's final conclusion presented a much more positive picture of the program effectiveness, one that does not seem to clearly align with the issues identified in the findings. This discrepancy raises some important questions about how the conclusions were reached. What quantitative data or outcome metrics were used to conclude that clear, measurable progress is occurring? Were all conclusions based solely on objective evidence is one question. And don't get me wrong, I am thrilled that you have found that we are doing the right thing and we're making progress. So that absolutely thrills me. But as part of the board's oversight responsibility, I personally feel that it is necessary for us to have clarification from the auditing firm regarding the methodology utilized, specifically how the conclusions drawn correspond to the evidence provided in the report. Could you please provide justifications for that link findings to the conclusion?
Sure. Perfect. So yes, so part of the work that we do with this is there are some elements that are qualitative, the numbers, and as I've said, we found instances where timelines were misaligned for valid reasons based on stakeholder input. When we take a look at the qualitative data, students are making progress, and we look primarily at really three measures: the overall graduation rate, the standardized test data for individual students from reeval to reeval to reeval. Are they making grade level progression? So when we look at the forensic files of actually touching the students' files, we could see instances where the data from year to year to year was showing student growth. We saw that, and again, it's a little hard in special ed because there are so many data points there. We see students that saw decreases in related services over time. We saw some students that maintained the same level of services. And the one element that I think really crystallized it for us was, how do the stakeholders interpret the work that they're doing in the lens of looking at individual student progress? That's why the stakeholder interviews are so critical in this process, so that if the forensic data dump of the existing files and the historical review is the data point, then that is tied together with the emotional abstract of what the stakeholders view their role and how they're providing students for program. It's not an express formula that says, yes, this is happening. It's more of a targeted look at a long-range estimate of how did the students do over time. And if you take a look at your student identification rates, for example, and this is one element that initially we were a little concerned about, because the percent of students increased slightly from 21 to 24. That's tied directly to the overall cohort of student population decreasing. The number of special ed kids remained essentially the same, but the overall number of total district enrollment decreased, which negatively impacted the students' handicapping condition percentages. And so we look at it all in that context, and when we get to the point of, yes, students are having a good experience, we saw the trajectory of how students progress grade level to grade level, and so that's how we got to that point. And with the stakeholder engagement, they talked about the successes that students were having in small cohorts.
So you did use quantitative
It was
as well?
both, yes. It's kind of, we take a look at the data from the current file, the historical data, and then the stakeholder interviews, and we kind of amalgamate them together to say, okay, what is outside of the norm? What is stressful? And in Boquet's specific circumstances versus other systems, we found significant glaring issues in other systems where we could not say that across the board, there were yeses in every area. For example, one district had almost 90% of their speech students only in individual speech. That's statistically impossible. And we found that that was a reflection of stakeholders and trust and making recommendations that were in their interest, not student interest. And if you were to look at just the numbers, you can't get that. But when you put the stakeholder input with the data, it gives you a pretty clear picture. It's not precise to the extent that it's an actuary table, but it's a pretty targeted set of recommendations. It's pretty close.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question. So you keep, like earlier you said stakeholders and administration, you spoke with, was that include the parents?
In this particular instance, it did not include the parents. Sometimes it does. In this particular case, we made the audit decision that there were too many transitions at this point, and we wanted to get the district started. We are certainly happy to have follow-up meetings with stakeholder parents, but because the work began in the summer, we thought that might not be as productive. It doesn't diminish the quality of their voice, because it was pretty clear that the parent voice wasn't in the IEPs, and that dated back to, I think the earliest IEP we looked at was 2002, and that was a consistent, pervasive 20-year reflection in the parent's voice. The record showed that they attended all kinds of meetings, but in this particular instance, it did not, because we wanted to get the recommendations to the district, but that would be an absolute recommendation to engage parents more thoughtfully in the future conversations.
How often do you re-audit, or what would be your recommendation to re-audit?
Well, we'll stick around for about 6 months easily to provide some technical support to the department. And we, in the 3.5 years that we've been doing the audits, we have not gone back to re-audit a district to check for those issues. We could certainly do that at the district's request, but I wouldn't undertake that for probably at least 18 months.
Okay, so there's no formula that could change your tires every 5,000 miles?
Not in this case, because it's going to take a cycle to just fix the annual review calendar dates. It's going to take you a year to get through those kids. We're not recommending you start meeting now to just change dates. It's a technical issue that doesn't impact programming. As long as you know it needs to be cleaned up, I would take the full cycle, and 90% of them will be done probably by May anyways. So we wouldn't change it just to change it in December and January. That would be disruptive to instruction.
Didn't you recommend in the report that we hire like a compliance officer or something to check in?
That's a great point, and that would typically be the director. So that doesn't mean that the director would sit on every possible meeting in a small district. That usually means that, but every IEP needs an individual that the district will recognize. It's not an additional expenditure. It's kind of job responsibilities, so that every document comes out compliant. It doesn't mean that Sean has to sit in on every single amendment, no meeting or things like that. But the point person for the compliance should be the last one to touch the document before it goes to the parent.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Any
Yeah.
members? Yes.
So forward thinking, have you seen, in the 3.5 years, have you seen any best practices from other districts after having an audit completed? And there's some recommendations and some findings to develop an action plan and stick to it, and resource it, and make progress over the course of a year. You know, I'm sure there'll be a good bit of support needed for that team. So do you have any?
Yeah, a couple of best practices we saw. A district that we saw had, I think it was 800 students, and there was one administrator trying to chair all the meetings. Physically impossible. Within about 6 weeks of starting it, we recommended immediately to the district that they needed to have either a teacher on special assignment or something to do that. It's impossible for a director to direct while they're in meetings because there's so much other technical work to do. So that was one of the initial recommendations, is balancing the load of running regular meetings so the district can continue to move forward, and that Sean and the leadership team with the help of the principals can continue to move forward. Other systems, it's targeted professional development to make sure that the gen ed staff understands what special ed is. And an emerging area which is growing is helping all staff understand that 504 accommodation plans are not a consolation prize for a student that has struggles. And we tell districts through some of the trainings that we've done or that we've put people in touch with, or have had success with districts creating their own special professional developments, is the answer is already in your district. Usually it's a very simple answer of the training the gen ed staff so they're not referring staff or telling parents, oh, just refer them, you can do it, you'll get all this support. I think one of the best practices is regular, frequent meetings with staff. Some staff members in districts that we've touched can cite that they haven't had a meeting with the administrator in charge of pupil services or special ed in 2 or 3 years. Part of it was COVID. That can't happen. You got to have regular meetings and you got to make time for it. And perhaps maybe a close second or third to that is making sure that your instructional time is sacred. Don't meet just to meet. If it's stealing instructional time, it's very hard to get that back for some of your most at-risk students. Figure out an adult solution so that the kids aren't in a classroom without instruction happening.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Reidenstein.
Thank you very much.
For your presence, very thorough.
Dr. Meyer has my number. It's in there. I believe it's in the report. If anyone has any questions or follow-up, we're here for as long as you need us to.
We appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
We as
Thank
a
you.
board are committed to address the concerns that you identified. We appreciate that
Thank
you
you.
did identify those, and we'll work with the administration to develop a focused corrective action plan to strengthen our compliance, improve our documentation, and support staff so that every student receives the services that they need. So thank you. Okay, we'll move on to number 7, capital project update. Dr. Meyer, please inform us that you have learned something from state ed.
Sort of. Long story short, the process is just taking a little bit longer than we anticipated. The big hiccup right now is during the last iteration of the project, when we put we were able to use our enrollment projections that were used during the merger study. Now they're saying that that was too far back, so we need new enrollment projections. That just takes a little bit of time. So we are in the process of getting that done and getting getting that submitted to state ed. But we're hoping to have that very soon, hopefully within this week. But just takes a little bit of time. And then just a quick review of what the project looks like. If you haven't seen it in a bit. It's the addition on the back end of this campus, sort of connecting the back hallway to the gymnasium. And it's a little bit closer. And again, just the elementary classrooms, 2 sections of each elementary classroom and some intervention spaces as well. That's all I got for you.
Do any of the board members have any questions or concerns for Dr. Meyer? Okay, we'll move right along then to number 8, board discussion, old business. Mrs. Spalding?
I do want to bring up something. At the last board meeting, I think it was, Ryan Hathaway brought up about the veterans exemption. And I would like for us to think about putting that on the ballot for the May vote, for the public to vote on. If that could be something, I don't know, Josh, if we have to vote on that, to put it on the ballot, or we can.
That's a good question. So my understanding is that the Board of Education has the ability to make the decision for the veterans exemption. And I believe, I don't know if you want to consider this as well, but I believe he also was talking about the
Volunteer fire.
Yeah, the volunteer fire exemption as well. As I understand it, the board has the ability to approve that. However, it can also go to public vote. If my 2 cents would be to recommend that you do it as a public vote. If anyone is getting any kind of tax exemption, that means that others are paying more in their taxes. So, there's certainly valid reasons to do that, but I think that the community should weigh in on that, and we can look into, we can work with Bridget on that to see what specifically we need to make that happen, but I don't see any reason why we can't do that for our May vote. Hey,
Yeah, just one point on that. So I have to submit that paperwork by January 1st every year. So if it was a May vote, it would take effect the next year. Yeah, so I actually just,
So it wouldn't be until January 27th?
it would affect the, next year's 26, 27, it would affect the 27, 28 tax year.
Okay.
Just because I just submitted the form this morning, actually, it's, that was brought up.
Well, at least we could get it on the May vote and get it.
Yeah.
So
Besides veterans and firefighters, is an ambulance exemption
Ambulance,
also?
me too.
Yeah.
Okay, just wondering if we're gonna,
do you need a motion for that, then, Josh?
Just,
To put it on the vote, on the ballot for May?
I would say we probably need one before May. I don't know that we need one right now. Yeah, why don't we get a little more information? We can see what other breakdowns there are. And then we can continue the discussion in January and get something. Our plan will be to have it on in May. But we'll gather some more information so we know exactly what that motion needs to look like and move forward from there.
Thank you.
That's the plan. Thank you, Deb.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So we'll get more information on that and let you know at the next meeting. Any other old business that we need to address? New business, committee updates, joint study, either Tom or Paige, would you be willing to provide us with an update on joint study, Tom or
Want to
Paige?
go Paige or me?
You can, doesn't matter.
Choose, a finger.
Paige has to do youth commission.
Okay. All right, I'll take it. Joint study is made up of 2 teachers, 2 board members, and the superintendent. It's probably been in existence since, for at least 25 years. And the idea behind joint study is to look at various problems, insignificant problems, but things that, like a new copier or, whatever that would facilitate better understanding between the board and the students, teachers. There would be no voting, there'd be no recommendation, it'd just be making the superintendent or the board aware of certain things. This year, it changed a little bit. We're looking at a new curriculum proposal by the state called Portrait of a Graduate. It's supposed to be implemented by 2027 in the lower grades, 5th grade.
So it would start in the 2028-29 school year.
School year. All right. And there are 6 or 7 different areas of the Portrait of a Graduate. It's going to change curriculum a little bit. It's that the student would, at graduation, be academically prepared, be a creative innovator, a critical thinker, an effective communicator, a global citizen, and a reflective and future-focused graduate. Now, Some of these need a little further clarification by the state. We're still working on the process. It's probably going to take a while to do this. We've got some time to do it, and we'll take a look at it as we go along. Okay.
It also seems that we're a little ahead of the game, which is nice to see.
Paige says we're a little ahead of the game. All right.
It sounds like it's
little.
probably something we should consider when we're setting our district goals and vision too. Like how we may want to change those to align with portrait of graduate.
That's specifically where I think we're ahead of the game. I think that they already do. Like, I think that who we're trying to create in the district aligns with that very well. And that's why it's really nice to see.
And we're potentially looking at internships, student internships with employers locally, to see if we can figure out something with that. And I think the goal here is the fact that you look at the number of college graduates that go on has decreased over the years, and more of the trades are involved, of getting kids involved in work.
Okay,
We'll be working on it.
thank you, Mr. Broderick. Youth Commission update. Paige, would you like to provide us an update?
We are in basketball season. Games don't start until next year, so there's not really a whole lot going on. But the ice rink is now open.
Yes,
so
I
that's
saw
exciting.
that.
And Elizabethtown?
Yes, yeah.
That's it, well,
Not
cold
a lot.
weather is good for something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Paige, Policy Committee, Deb, Jason, or Sarah, would you like to provide an update?
Sure, we met yesterday, we made it through 3,000s and 4,000s of policy. No major changes, just clarifying a few wordage, language. Yeah. No one in public comment. For some reason, I remember that one the most. Don't know why. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was not present.
We need to text her next time.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, legal services discussion. Dr. Myers, would you like to start our discussion?
I'm happy to start. I was surprised to receive an email from our attorney who said he received an email from the board president requesting the attorney, or the other 2 attorneys, so the new attorney, Garcia and Garcia, requested the contracts of the other 2 attorneys as the board president made a request to terminate the services of the other 2 attorneys and what that language would look like. So it's on here to discuss.
Okay, does anyone have anything they'd like to say to begin with?
Well, I know, like with our new lawyer, I like the transparency. I feel like I know a little bit more what's going on.
I personally haven't met or even laid eyes on the new lawyer, so that's not who I would be comfortable talking with. I've been on the board for 7 years and I'm comfortable with the lawyer we've had. So if I have a question, that's what I'm gonna go ask them.
Yeah, well,
We're dealing with a contract, shouldn't this be for executive session?
no.
No, it was.
This is required for the public because would be a vote on business issue. So it's not appropriate for executive session. I believe that there are reasons financially to try to consolidate and not have so many attorneys employed by the district, just to help with financial costs, but the main issue is the transparency. There are lots of reasons to select a very transparent law firm. A school district has a responsibility to operate in a manner that is ethically sound, financially responsible, and aligned with the public's expectations. Hiring a law firm that demonstrates a high level of transparency directly supports those obligations. A transparent law firm provides clear communication, open billing practices, and documented decision-making, enabling the district to maintain accountability for all its stakeholders, including the students, the families, faculty, staff, and taxpayers. Transparent firms minimize the risk of misunderstandings, unexpected costs, and conflicts of interest by offering detailed explanations of their legal strategies, their fee structures, and work processes. This visibility allows district leadership to make fully informed decisions, evaluate the effectiveness of legal representation, and ensure the council's actions align with district policies and values. Additionally, because school districts operate in a public environment and are often subject to open records and sunshine laws, working with counsel that understands and practices transparency helps the district uphold compliance and maintain public trust. A lack of transparency in legal services can erode community confidence, spark allegations of impropriety, and increase the likelihood of disputes over billing strategy or communication. For these reasons, selecting a transparent law firm is not only a matter of operational efficiency, but also an essential component of the district's commitment to integrity, accountability, and responsible stewardship of public resources. The firm Guercio & Guercio provides that type of transparency that our district truly needs, providing the whole board with legal memos regarding all legal issues. And it is for that reason that we have a walk-on item concerning the termination of the Honeywell firm the Honeywell firm. May I have a motion to add this walk-on item to tonight's agenda?
Can I just
And it is
continue the
not-
discussion?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So I have a couple slides prepared. So if we look here, I don't think that anyone would argue that Guercio's transparency. I don't know how you could argue Stafford Owens or Honeywell's transparency either. I am certain that they have never been asked to produce the memos that you're discussing. And if they were, I'm sure they'd be happy to produce those. But as we look here, with both districts, prior to the merger, there's a long-standing relationship with Stafford Owens and with Honeywell. The admin team who works with the attorneys pretty frequently has very high levels of satisfaction with both firms. In October, a couple months ago, the board approved adding Guercio & Guercio, which is fine. There was no resolution, no discussion of termination of that time of the existing firms. And there was no discussion about consolidation of legal services. The multiple firms have continued to serve the district, and that seems to have worked out just fine. But speaking of transparency, and I'm so glad you brought that up. So when I received the request, I emailed you and asked why we would be doing that. And you said cost.
And transparency.
Nope. You said cost. So to your question, board superintendent emails, that's an executive session discussion in which you'll see the emails where there was absolutely no mention of trust or transparency, simply cost. That's great. In the memo from Guercio & Guercio, it was all about trust, no mention of cost. If you'd like to see that as a side-by-side, you can see that the response I received from the board president was all focused on cost. The attorney was all focused on trust. These explanations are materially different. I find that to be extraordinarily problematic. Now, what is more problematic is that when questioned about this, I was assured by the board president that she already had a majority for this. So let's just discuss how that works, that after the November meeting, before the December meeting, with no public discussion a majority was already reached by the board president outside of a public meeting. So you can read here a little bit about what the New York State law requires. I'm sure that our attorney, when another board member reaches out to talk about what that means, I'm sure that the board will get a memo on what that looks like. Now, let's talk about cost, because that's what I was told to be prepared for tonight. So if you take a look here, the last 3 years, 2023, 2024, that was our capital project vote here. So looking at that cost, that $40,000 number, a large portion of that was related to the capital project. Moving down to 24, 25, about $19,800. This current school year, we're at $13,200. The projection based on that is $31,680. The Board of Education, of that $13,200 is $5,800. And for the first time ever, we have a line for board president consultation, which is at $3,332 this year. Projection looking at $8,000 for the year. So if anyone is looking for suggestions on how to reduce costs, I have one. So if cost is the concern, I believe the data showing that the process is access that's driving expenses, not the pricing. Also, fun fact, Honeywell is the cheapest of our 3 firms. If trust is the concern, and the board trusts Versio and Versio, use them all you'd like. The administration trusts Honeywell and Stafford Owens, and I don't see if trust is the issue, why should we not continue to use those firms? Different responsibilities require different legal relationships.
Okay, I have a few things to say. When I spoke with the attorney from Versio and Versio, and I informed him that there were some trust issues. And I have spoken, and when you say that I have the majority, the attorney asked me if the majority of the board members would want to terminate the Honeywell law firm because of trust issues. And there were also the issues that, because I feel that when I'm contacting Versio and Versio, Dr. Meyer, you are contacting Honeywell to try to get a different answer. Okay, so that's.
Hey, can you pull that data for the next board meeting,
It's
please,
almost
about the
like-
dates of that Honeywell was contacted versus Versio and Versio?
Almost
Thank
like
you.
a dual financial cost, okay? So.
Tom, also in executive session, you'll see the superintendent's cost compared to the board president's cost.
Versio,
That will
and
repeat
is some of that though for Honeywell? Or for, you're saying the board president going and getting information, is some of that for the Honeywell, not Versio and Versio? Because Mrs. Spalding and I took a trip down to Albany.
In July, right?
We drove ourselves to avoid the cost of having the Honeywell representative come to our district. We drove ourselves. I used my car, my gas to save the district money, okay? And we went down and we spent about an hour with him, and we did not get many answers. The questions that we asked were not answered. And at that time, he even admitted that there is a bond. So it was recommended by the lawyer from Versio and Versio that I reach out to the other board members to see
Which I was not included
if
on.
there was a majority, because last time I reached out to you, Sarah, and asked you to please call me because I didn't know your number, you never responded to me. So what, did you receive that email that asked?
Eventually. like,
Yes, and you never respond, so
And then
why?
I responded to you every time you called.
Yes.
I was part of that committee. How come I was not notified that you were going down this pathway?
Perhaps I should have
Yeah.
contacted you,
Well,
okay?
you didn't contact.
But
me.
I did contact the rest of the
Yeah,
board members.
you contacted the yes votes.
And had.
You contacted the yes votes. No.
I actually think that this is, again, not a productive conversation. And personally, I don't really want to sit through this any longer. No matter what happened previously, this is not going to, fix itself today. And I think that we should move on. Maybe I'm alone in this. You're welcome to say your feelings, but, no matter my feeling on the point, the discussion is not helpful, and I don't think that we need to keep going down this path.
Okay. I am going to read and ask for a motion to add this walk-on item to tonight's agenda.
Then I think the discussion should continue. If you're not gonna pay Jessica's stuff, if you're not going to, then I think we let Tom finish, we let Sarah finish.
Okay. Go ahead. If there's anyone else who would like to comment, go ahead.
I just don't see why you feel you should regulate who the rest of us work with as far as lawyers. Why can't you just I work with Honeywell, you work with Gersio and Gersio, why do you feel the need to regulate that?
I also, if I can just add, all the attorneys that we work with are billed hourly, period. Also, and I will check this, but to your point about Honeywell and the travel, I believe Honeywell is also the only firm that doesn't charge us mileage or for paralegal fees. They are significantly the cheapest of the three. I will double check. However, I know that they are the cheapest of the three. And
But the point
so
is-
no. The point is that an hour is billed. There's no flat. There is no. For you to say that the gentleman from Gersio felt that he could save the district money if we move all of our business to him, like it's amazing to me that a business owner that surely gets paid because of more business that he brings in wants more business.
And this motion was not to terminate both of the other firms. It was just.
Just the one that I work with.
Just for Honeywell.
Right. Just the one that I work with.
And I am not the only one on this board that feels that there is a problem.
I feel it's a problem with the trust of Honeywell.
Sarah, you're saying that I want to control this. This is not just me wanting to control this. There are other people that have issues with this law firm as well, with the trust.
But that's who I trust. I've worked with them for 7 years. So why should you be the one to say that? I don't trust Gersio and Gersio. I've never seen them. So why do you're
Well, I'm
state
giving-
precedent?
And I'm putting it out to the whole board. Okay? If the majority of the board did not want to go this route, then that's the way that they should vote. But I'm going to give the people the opportunity, since there have been issues with this particular law firm, and not just with me, with other people as well, because I was told by the lawyer, do you have, and I did not contact them all at once, it was all done legally, okay?
Okay, so John, we're recording tonight, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what I was told by the lawyer to do, to reach out and to find out if there was support for them. And then the resolution would be drawn up.
Just to share where I stand on this. I have no evidence or reason myself to terminate Honeywell as one of the lawyers. I haven't seen any instances of that causing issues for the district, so that's where I am on it.
Well, one more question, if you don't mind. Sean, who is the law firm that uses special education?
That's Honeywell.
Honeywell. And I know it was probably 30 minutes ago at this point, but I believe that one of the recommendations, one of the big issues there was consistency. In the audit that we just heard, was consistency in special education. So terminating Honeywell, which is probably the single most consistent thing that is happening at the higher levels of that department, seems asinine after the audit that we just heard.
Is it possible?
sorry, could you explain that again?
This is absolutely a public discussion.
I didn't, can you explain that again, Dr. Meyer?
So Honeywell is the law firm that has been working with special education. They've been working with special education all along. Prior to Honeywell, it was Harris Beach, and there were some people from Harris Beach who moved over to Honeywell. So that is the most consistent thing happening at the upper levels of our special education world is the Honeywell law firm. And it seems that was one of the key factors, was consistency in special education was one of the issues. So I don't know why we would get rid of the attorney. And again, I will go back to say that if special education is working with Honeywell and that's who they trust, that's great. If our principals work with Stafford Owens and that's who they trust, that's great. If the board wants to work with Gersio and Gersio, that's great. We've appointed 3 firms. They're all paid hourly. We can appoint 10 firms if we want, and it shouldn't increase the cost of the attorneys. I just see absolutely no reason to eliminate the attorneys. If you don't want to work with an attorney, don't call them. I don't know, it just seems.
Personally, I have a question that I don't think I can ask unless it's executive session that pertains to this, and I would not vote until I was able to clarify that. Just.
Okay, well, and we'll just add that to executive session then, if it is an executive session question something that cannot be discussed
I
in
can't
public.
really clarify it in public setting, so I'm guessing that
Okay.
it's.
All right. One other thing that I wanted to mention is that Gersio and Gersio specialize in education law. They have a large number of special education lawyers and other litigation lawyers. Everything is specialized in education. Honeywell does not specialize. If you have a heart problem, you're not going to want to go to a general practitioner. You're going to want to go to a cardiologist, a specialist. So why would we not want to take our legal issues to a law firm that specializes in education issues?
So, I mean, there are so many things wrong with that statement. Honeywell, again, the people that we work with at Honeywell, they only do education. Does their other firm do different things? I'm sure they do. I've never called them about other things. But the people that we work with, they work in education. The people that special education work with only do special education law. I was part of the interviews for all 3 firms. They all were great. They're all competent. I'm sure that there are thousands of competent firms in New York State. I would support a resolution to appoint all 1,000 of those firms before I would start reducing firms. It does not make sense.
Okay, well, we will just continue this discussion in executive session then. All right, let's move on to the next item. Number 9, public comment. Our agenda offers 2 public comment sections, opinions, ideas, and concerns that are offered by the public will be considered and taken under advisement. We've set a 15-minute period, giving the audience time to share their thoughts with us. Please raise your hand to be acknowledged by the board president. When called upon, please identify yourself and give your address, limiting your comments to 3 minutes. And Paige, you are going to do your timer. Thank you. Yes, go ahead. Mr. Kingsack.
Good evening, my name is Josh Kingsack, I live in Westport, I have 2 kids in the elementary school. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the school, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, and I'm not sure who all was involved, but they brought in a gentleman who rode a BMX bike, and my kids came home totally jazzed, their friends were jazzed about it. I went and had dinner with some fellow educators, my wife's a teacher in the high school, and everyone was so excited. And I hope that as a school, we can keep facilitating these types of things. I want our school to do better and better and better, and I feel like we're really on a good track with these things, and that was just a highlight.
I agree.
My second thing is sitting here tonight and listening to this discussion. As a citizen, as a taxpayer, as someone who voted for some of you people, I feel like there is no transparency. I feel like there's a lot of lying going on, and there's a lot of, it looks like I'm watching like a middle school where there's like little cliques. So you all need to, I don't know, sit down and reevaluate what you're doing here, because as a citizen, I am unhappy, and I do not think that what you all are doing is making a lot of parents happy. And it's not like anything strictly, but it's the fact that there's calls to lawyers from certain people. This has been like going on this year, and it's a real bummer, because I don't trust you guys to make decisions for the betterment of our school, for our children, for the educators, or for our town or our budget. So please, like, hear me. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
I threw this together, so forgive me. Megan Ostrowski, 27 Moss Road. First, I do want to thank the board for rearranging the agenda, at least trying to. I think it's very helpful for me as a parent and some other parents to be able to come when we can kind of get an idea of what's going on, new business, old business, capital project updates. We can have a first public comment where we really can't be here many people till 9 o'clock when we have little ones. So pushing forward an informed community is very much appreciated. However, I am growing incredibly frustrated with the amount of derailing this meeting has come to. I can't imagine what you all go through behind the scenes, because looking at it from the public, it is, I don't know, I wouldn't want to bring out someone outside our community here to see it. It's embarrassing. So Gercio, education law, labor employment, personal injury, construction law, special education law, civil rights law, real property taxation and tax whatever, and litigation. Honeywell, they specialize, if you want to know, in special education, in education, labor and employment litigation, construction law, and adoption law. So to say someone doesn't specialize in the law field, you better never have them on retainer, because in the law field, you want specialists, and you want more than one specialist. Because when you have, say something comes up, there's an issue, maybe Gercio's better at some components of special education law than Honeywell, or vice versa. So I think in true transparency, the introduction of anyone getting a special budget, that being unprecedented, a new budget line that concentrates power in a single board officer deserves clear justification, public explanation, and full board approval. Budget should serve the district, not individual positions. Transparency cannot be selective. Transparency means empowering the entire board to access accurate information, not restricting communication channels or centralizing authority in one role. A functioning board must operate as a united governing body. I feel like I keep saying this. No board individual should have more authority to regulate over the others. They should be able to use counsel and find resources as they trust. I don't know, I'm, again, just off the cuff of this really. The community depends on a board that works together, not one that concentrates power in a single seat. So can we please be unanimous and show the community that we're unanimous, because we have things coming up here beyond what we're talking about. You can, as mentioned, take on as many lawyers, you get billed when you use them. So I think that's important. I think derailing our conversation for something that's not about the capital project right now, or the voting coming up, or things that are extremely important. I just think this is a waste of everyone's time. So thank you.
Now, just to be clear and transparent, because I would not want anyone to hear those comments and think otherwise. The board president has absolutely no more right or authority to contact any of the legal representation than anyone else on this governing team. And there's no separate line item in the budget. Is that correct, Dr. Meyer?
Not in the budget, however, when we broke down the legal
The spending,
expenses.
you guys broke it down for the purpose of that campaign, or that slideshow.
Any board member can contact a legal representative. It's not just the president.
Right.
Right.
Just so everyone understands that.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ecker. I live at 4 Harborview Terrace, and I have 2 kids in the high school. And I have 2 things I want to say. The one is, I sort of experienced the school through through my kids. And in this last month and a half, I have been so touched by how thoughtful and caring and supportive the entire school staff has been, from people in the office to the guidance counselors to the teachers. I've just sort of been witness to such people going the extra mile and really caring about my kids and the kids at the school. So I want to say that I'm just constantly amazed at how much the teachers and the staff and the administration does. And as I'm sitting here in this meeting, I'm thinking, gosh, this seems like a mess. And what if this culture that you all seem to be experiencing, what if this starts to trickle down? Because right now, I'm a parent and a taxpayer, right? So those are 2 things very important to me. And it's so important what the teachers are doing. And I just it's very confusing to me, the dissonance between what I see happening here and what's happening in the school. And also, I'd like you to know, there's often not a lot of kids here because they're busy playing sports and doing homework and whatnot, but they do sometimes watch these meetings. They sit in living rooms and watch you. And you know what? I don't think they're seeing things they want to emulate. So I also, like other parents, would want to really encourage you to look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because this school is a great school and deserves a better board. So that would be my request. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, number 10. Yes, okay, go ahead. Excuse me? Did I forget the student?
Oh, after the.
Yeah, she's after executive session. Yeah, she's after. Okay, number 10, executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering into executive session to discuss number 6, the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or persons. Number 8, to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property or the proposed acquisition, sale, or exchange of securities, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value of these things. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss items 10A and B?
I motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Second. Thank you, Deb. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Anticipating being back in approximately 30 minutes, perhaps, hopefully. Okay, we'll see you soon.
She's pretty rough to defend.
No, I'm very excited about that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to reconvene into open session?
Motion.
Thank you. And second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes to reconvene at 8:38. Okay, ex officio student school board member report. It's our pleasure to have Sadie, our student representative, once again, and some fellow board, student council members too?
Yeah, they helped make it.
Oh, okay, they're not here. Okay. Provide us with a report on behalf of the student body. Thank you all for your willingness to provide us with another student update. Thank your cohorts there for helping. Go ahead, Sadie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The bullets got a little messed up, but the first one is Champlain Valley Model UN. High school students who are going to Harvard Model United Nations in early 2026 participated in the Champlain Valley Model UN in Plattsburgh last week. Boquet Valley delegates earned Best Delegate, Outstanding Delegate, and an honorable mention, and our school also won Best Delegation. This was a great way for Harvard Model UN students to prepare for the bigger conference coming up.
Great.
When
And
is
then
Harvard? Sorry.
Harvard Model UN, end of January, yeah.
Thank you.
In the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, we had the Grow a Griffin Turkey Challenge in the middle and high school. When a teacher saw students demonstrating one of William Hackley's 6 essential skills, a feather was put on the Griffin mural at the end of the middle school hallway. It's a great way to acknowledge students who are demonstrating teamwork, networking, agility, leadership, goal setting, and perseverance. Green team update. We had our first green team meeting last week. It was led by the seniors who went to the Youth Climate Summit in November. They gave us a summary of what they learned from the conference, and then we created goals for the green team and brainstormed how to educate both campuses on the importance of recycling and composting and other environmental things. We're looking forward to future green team projects. And finally, a professional BMX biker visited both Lakeview and Mountain View on Friday, along with performing various tricks. He shared his experience working through setbacks, and he left students with a message of perseverance and encouraged us to pursue our goals. We're very grateful that we get this opportunity to see him perform. Moving forward, we have several holiday activities planned for the end of December, which should be a fun send-off into holiday break. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Sadie. It's always great to get the firsthand accounts of what's happening. And we have a lot of positive things happening in the district. Your contributions are very valuable to us as board. Thank you again. Number 12, the approval of minutes. Approve the adoption of the agenda, and B, approve the minutes of November 12th, 2025 board meeting as presented. Do I have a motion to approve items 12A and B? Motion. Thank you, Deb. Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Tom, I guess. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion 12A and B are approved. Number 13, financials. Approve the following financial reports, 1 through 5. Do I have a motion to approve items 13A, 1 through 5?
Motion.
Thank you, Paul. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Any discussion on these items? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion 13A, 1 through 5 have been approved. Number 14, CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations. Number A, letter A, accept and approve the Committee on Preschool Special Education, Committee on Special Education, and Committee on 504 Plan recommendations as presented. Do I have a motion to accept CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations presented in 14A?
I motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion accepted. Number 15, action items, consent agenda. A, approve and adopt a resolution approving the host community agreement and consenting to the amended and restated pilot agreement of the CHPE LLC project as presented. And B, approve the group voluntary vision care plan contract renewal for the period January 1st, 2006 through January 1st, 2028. Do I have a motion to approve action item 15A and B?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Is there any discussion?
If you don't mind, I'll just very briefly talk about the host community agreement. So back in August of 2021, this is the project that is going through the lake, the big cable that's going through the lake right now. It's associated with that. I believe, I may have this wrong, but I believe any municipality on Lake Champlain that has, that the municipality has lake frontage is getting money as part of this agreement. Some communities use the pilot. Essex County has moved, now that I say that, at least the schools in Essex County have moved to the host community agreement. It's a slightly different model, but same amount of money. It's $11.7 million over 30 years. I believe starting in the next fiscal school year, from the 26-27 school year, we will start getting some of that money. So
That's not all our money, that's everybody.
no, the 11.7 million is ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it flat across the 30 years? Dr. Black?
That's a good question. It is not flat.
It doesn't say it, it says it in the.
It seems to go up and down.
No, I believe, I think for this one, it starts small and ends big, if I remember correctly. So, yeah.
So in year one, we're getting 170,000, and in year 30, it's scheduled at 983,000.
170 and then 930 in the last year. Yeah,
But
so.
the following year will be tough.
No, so that's actually a really good question. That's why we pushed for it to switch to the community host agreement and not the pilot, because in year 31, which I hope to be retired, and then, yeah, that would be a very difficult year for tax discussions, so that was why.
So is the difference between the host community agreement and the pilot is that they'll pay taxes after the 30 years? What's
No, so we, at the last board meeting, you approved a pilot agreement for the Westport Hotel property. Okay, so that property got approved for whatever rate they're paying, which is less than what their taxes
Yes.
would normally be for a certain period of time. I don't recall what that was, but the idea is that when that agreement ends, then they are paying full value of their taxes.
Yeah.
Because this is on non-taxable land, it's in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
it didn't make sense for it to be a pilot. It's, you know, it's not on taxable property. So that was why the switch.
Okay, is there any other further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to approve item 15A and B approved. Number 16, personnel consent agenda, A through M, with the amended items 16N. Do I have a motion to approve item what?
A motion?
Yes, item 16A through M, and then addendum item 16N. Thank you, Deb. Second. Paige, thank you. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Deb?
I think I brought this up before, Josh, if we could talk to, maybe it would be Hayden at some time, if we can get off the minimum wage for those employees somehow and squeeze it somehow into the budget.
To further increase the sub rates.
Yeah, well, for the minimum wage employees that we have. To give at
So you'd
least,
have to break down the sub rates to see if any of them are at the minimum wage, but I think it's mostly about the hourly.
yeah, the hourly rates, yeah.
So, yes, however, I think because the change goes into effect January 1st, I think we need to approve this tonight,
Right,
but
just
then.
something down the
we
road we
could
could look at.
Have that conversation moving forward, sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Items 16A through M with the addendum, items 16A N are accepted. Number 17, policy. As recommended by Erie One Policy Services, approve the revision of policies 1, policy 1210, and policy number 2, board members nomination and election. Do I have a motion to approve policy A, 1, and 2? Motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Paul, second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Any discussion on these?
Excuse me. I think it's you, Bridget, that sends these to us. Can you just highlight in some way what the differences are? Because otherwise I'm comparing them and not doing a good job of finding it. Yep. Thank you.
Like mine and Waldo.
Yeah.
Dr. Meyer, could you?
Sure.
Yeah, I can give you a quick version. The first one, the policy 1210, that adds language to address the student board member. And then policy 7513, the medication and personal care items, that has to do with the nebulizer. And the way we've removed the nebulizer from things that we are automatically providing, is that correct? Yes. So that would still allow someone who needed a nebulizer to bring theirs in, and we can facilitate that, but we're not providing that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, policy items in 17A, 1 and 2 accepted. Number 18, Administrator Director Report, the Director of Facilities, Mr. Rice. Bob Rice, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Probably
evening.
Probably been busy buffing tire marks out before.
The tire marks weren't that bad, although while you were in executive session, I really wanted to go get the tennis ball and get stuff marks off, but I fought the urge. All right, so I've broken this down into both separate districts, buildings, same district, but then a district-wide update. So 95% of the lights in this building have been updated to the LED lights. They're more efficient and they come with a significant rebate. The majority of the lights here are your standard 4-foot light bulbs. By simply removing the ballast and buying the $6 a piece light bulb we got, I think it was $12 back for every light we installed. PM Leary was consulted recently on a drain backup here in the Mountain View campus. There's an interesting corner in the cafeteria and we cannot seem to snake that with any snakes that we own, so we end up contracting PM Leary once or twice a year, it seems like. The gymnasium windows have been a constant distraction for the athletes and the students in there, and we looked into having those tinted, but the cost was going to be very high, so instead we used Rust-Oleum spray paint and frosted the glass, and it seems to be working. We're gonna finish the rest of those when the students aren't here because it smells bad. The gymnasium floor was just redone prior to basketball season, so our students and our athletes have a really nice working surface. Similar to this floor, only it's an older floor. Ice time will be here this month over the break. We talked about it 2 board meetings ago to update the walk-in coolers and replace those, so we have no more issues with those here. They've been losing Freon gas. Moving over to the Lakeview campus, the grinder pump in the septic system went down, so we had to once again contract with PM Larry and Hometown Electric, because along with having an electrical issue, one of the pumps was jammed up. I think it was a Lego inside it. It's an elementary school, that happens. Over the holiday break, we've got a broken pipe coming out of the art room, so currently we're washing all the paintbrushes into a 5-gallon bucket and then taking those down the hallway. We're gonna repair that, but it's gonna be pretty expensive and noisy, so we're waiting for the holiday break. The hallways and the stairways, including the ones with the math facts, are pretty much constantly being repainted. I think the math facts are pretty cool. Working on the heat system over there, we've managed to cool down a couple of the rooms with some manual valves. We've got another individual coming in tomorrow who's gonna work on the pneumatics, so hopefully we can get that to a normal temperature. I'm not very hopeful because it's a pretty old system. As far as district-wide updates, we just replaced our 2018 truck with a 2025 F-250 plow truck. We also have 2 new school buses, which are 2026 Bluebirds, and the new tractor has been delivered. They're all in service and working. Numerous teachers have received gently used desks and chairs and a couple filing cabinets from Clinton Community College due to their closure. Thank you, Dr. Meyer, for setting that up for us. They're actually pretty nice. All right, we have a couple new part-time employees. They're actually students here. We had a couple students who started working with their National Honor Society hours to get their community service hours and transitioned into part-time employment. We interviewed 2 more students today, and I think it's absolutely great having students on staff as substitute cleaners. The annual air quality and fire inspections are all complete, and the elevators were also inspected this year. Everything is up to snuff and we are running. The fall fire drill requirements are taken care of both campuses, all done. Our emergency go-home drill has been completed. Our snow day cancellation and our 2-hour delay protocols have been established for the remainder of the school year, and we will not need to delay tomorrow. And this morning, I was honored to be part of the 5th graders because Mr. Kyler asked me to help him out as a veteran and somebody who knows how to fold a flag and work for them. And it was a great activity. They're great kids. We worked on it. A couple of them were a little nervous that they were going to make a mistake. And once they realized that mistakes happen, don't worry about it. You just fix it. I just heard a squeak.
That's my shoe.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I did something up here. My hearing aid was buzzing. Other than that, we're fixing the problems as they come, and there will be more problems because we have old buildings. But when they come, we're going to fix them.
Okay, thank you. I do have a couple questions. Remember, as part of the energy performance contract we signed last year, I believe a new boiler replacement was a significant part of that. Is there any status to when that will happen?
We have very old boilers in this building, and we cannot get parts for them anymore. It's a huge project, but we have newer boilers that are horribly inefficient in the other building, so we're working on both. So I don't have any.
With that contract, performance contract,
Yeah.
were we supposed to get new boilers?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I can answer that. So as part of that energy performance contract, the boiler was part of that. If you remember, we would get 80% reimbursement on the whole project. But if we did it as part of a vote, we would get 90%. So an additional 10%. This all made sense when we thought we were voting this fall, and then February. And that, so I just need to circle up with day automation and say, what's the new plan? You know, to see what makes the most sense right now. So we could do a vote just for that. but we can also cost it out and see what makes the most sense to do. But good question.
All right. And then my other question was, you did say that you were getting the heat regulated in some of the rooms, which is good. But I know since now we're mandated by the state to keep rooms under a certain temperature, how are you monitoring the excessive heat at Lakeview?
When you read the state mandate, it says 3 feet off the ground in the center of the room. So we have a digital heat gun, just your standard Milwaukee digital heat gun, and you walk into the classroom and you pick a desk, because that's approximately 3 feet off the ground in the center of the room. And you pull the trigger and it gives you a temperature reading.
So you're doing that on a regular basis?
Yes.
Great. Great. Anyone else?
I do have a question. Can you get like a follow-up on your sub-cleaners that are students and see if peer pressure helps with keeping the older kids picking up their own messes?
We've
See
had
what I'm saying?
We've had our first student cleaner who came on was Palmer Martin. So she started as National Honor Society, said, this isn't that bad, I like it. And it worked out really well, stayed on through the summer, came back the next fall, stayed on, and then was a summer cleaner again. Is still on the substitute list, but is currently in college. And college comes first. I'm trying to.
Andrew applied, I saw it.
What was that?
Andrew Denton applied, right?
Andrew Denton is currently working, but I was talking to Sadie during the executive session that Andrew Denton has abandoned us for sports again. But that's more important. So
But
our
I'm just
new,
wondering if the fact that it's high school kids cleaning, if the other high school kids are like, oh, there's the garbage can, now I'm gonna walk over and put it in the garbage can instead of this.
Or the
Or the
cleaners are the
opposite.
ones that are like, hey, clean up.
No, I think,
I'm the one picking up
it
after.
would just be
you.
interesting
Yeah,
to see what happens.
I think as we get more and they realize that it's not a difficult job, commute is pretty good because you get out of school and you go right to work. I think we'll see more. So our newest two haven't even started yet. They just had their applications and their job interviews today. And hopefully, they want to start next week, but.
I think it's a great idea.
I appreciated the update.
Yes.
Thanks to you and what your team does.
Yes.
Sorry you lost your Legos.
I've been trying to get your daughter to work with me every day and she keeps telling me it's my job.
Yeah,
So.
you figure that out now.
Also, thank you for the attention to the flag. That was also brought up during joint study, and I appreciate that you guys went over that with them.
None of them, I think, did any of that maliciously. I think the fact that somebody had to put it on Facebook instead of just pointing it out or fixing the problem.
I don't think any of it, Facebook is sad. I don't think any of it was malicious. But still, the response to it is what I appreciate, including putting it in a different place now or a case or whatever you guys are doing, just to, double down on that. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Okay, Mr. Strack, I think you're up next.
Hey, that's me.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to give you guys, we just got the audit report, I don't know if you knew that, maybe, 2 days ago or something. So I sort of circled up and went over everything that was in it and kind of have drafted a little bit of an overview of what has happened since he wrapped up in late September. These are this is a list based on the recommendations that he made. And these are things that have been done, things that are in process, things that will be done. On top of that, I also am formulating a 2-year plan. I believe I'll formally present in January. And so I'd like to have that done to talk to you guys about that, sort of a long-term sustainability plan. But this is where we are today. So just a little snapshot. So I do have a formal statement. If you would like me to read that, I can do that. Good evening. I'd like to provide an update on the status of the Special Education Department as of December 2025. When I stepped into this role, it was clear that the department had experienced several years of significant turnover: directors, clerical staff, psychologists, teachers. The level of instability affected not only confidence and communication, but also the day-to-day experience of our students, families, and teachers. My focus this year has been to bring stability, communication, and consistency back to our system. I'm pleased to share that many of the highest priority issues identified in our audit have already been identified and improved. Obviously, there's a long road to go, but what we've been able to do in 3 months that I've been here or so, we've done. We now have clear communication pathways for staff. Annual reviews have been scheduled for this spring within timelines. Parent communication is documented properly, and PWNs, compliant documentation, and amendment procedures have all been corrected. These are foundational pieces necessary for a functional student-centered department. We've also reinstated Medicaid billing. That was a real win and took a lot of people, and thank you to everybody who did that with me. We've corrected coding issues and rebuilt RMTS, which is random moment in time study procedures, as a result of which we've already submitted around $13,000 and counting in reimbursements. This is revenue that directly supports our students. Numbers and systems are only a part of this story, however. I would like to acknowledge the teachers, service providers, paraprofessionals who have carried this work with me. Everybody has been extremely open and wonderful. Their flexibility and professionalism, often while balancing full and complex caseloads and shifting expectations, has been remarkable. They show up every day for our students, and their commitment is what makes real progress possible. So publicly, I would like to acknowledge the team for their hard work, resilience, and heart that they bring every day. Many additional improvements are actively underway. We are rebuilding trust after years of transitions. We are meeting regularly as a team, monthly at each building. This Thursday, we have a full department meeting for half a day. I'm really looking forward to it. And as a team, we are ensuring high standards compliance and clear communication. As we move into the February through May annual review season, our focus shifts to quality. We are strengthening parent and student voice in PLEPS as a priority. We are ensuring accuracy in program ratios, cleaning up testing accommodations, aligning program descriptions, and ensuring that every service is fully compliant with our state regulations. Alongside this, we're developing a 2-year department improvement plan. This plan will translate the audit findings into clear goals, a timeline of actions and measurable outcomes. The purpose is simple. Not just to fix problems, but to build a sustainable system that supports students and staff for the long term. We do have some evergreen challenges, however. Capacity, limited program options due to small cohorts, restricted planning time, but now we have regular meetings to address those challenges thoughtfully and proactively. And I have been, as Bob mentioned when he was speaking, there have been regional conversations about program sharing. So we've begun those conversations. I think that's really the next long-term step as well. So in short, this year has been about trust, stabilization, and rebuilding. We've corrected many compliance issues, restored critical revenue streams, put consistent systems back into place, and strengthened communication. The 2-year improvement plan will guide our next phase of work. We will build clear and sustainable systems that will allow us to deepen instructional quality and strengthen programming for every student we serve. Thank you to the board for your continued support as we move this work forward. So yeah, that's what I got on that.
Thank you very much. And I'm amazed that you have done so much so quickly after the report. So
It's nothing.
So I congratulate you for being so proactive in getting these things
Yeah,
corrected in such a timely manner.
happy to do it. It's actually pretty fun. You know, we're having a good time. So,
Yeah. And as I've told you before, I appreciate your the information you provide the board on a monthly, besides the actual numbers.
yes.
I appreciate the narrative that you provide us with,
Yeah.
because it tells us a let
Hey, let me find it again. Communication, I can't find it, but communication, that's what this year's about. On another note, I know that you guys have a current attorney discussion that is ongoing. I don't know the history with what you've all gone through or what issues have been in the past, but I can say from my experience working with Honeywell, they've been instrumental and incredibly supportive and responsive when I've needed to speak with them. So that's just my 2 cents there.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Okay, next.
One quick discussion item, Mr. Strack. I do want to say your focus on like sustainable improvements, I think is awesome, and I would ask you to continue to try to build those systems like you're doing. And then, Dr. Meyer, I know he's going to fully support the improvements required. Just know that you have a board that is here to support as well. So when there's, hey, I need some sort of additional resources, some sort of additional help, support, whatever it may be. Obviously, we know Dr. Meyer is going to take care of that, but we're here too.
Thank you. That's nice.
Yes, good point, Jason. Thank you. Okay, number 19, superintendent's update. A, superintendent's report.
Very good. So just with our grants, Lee's up here. Would you like to talk about the grants?
There's not much to say. It's almost amendment season, so we're going to be submitting amendments in the spring and then planning to begin shortly after, but it's kind of a slow season for grants right now. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was the Oasis grant due in December, or you'll find out in December?
So
I can't remember.
It hasn't been released yet. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm-
But is it released typically in December?
I don't know that, I'm sorry.
I feel like I remember
Typically,
that.
it's released in December or January.
Okay,
I don't foresee that happening. There's been
that's
zero
that's
talk
fair,
about
I
it,
just,
so I think it's gonna be a while.
fair, okay. Sorry.
It's an election year.
That is it.
Wow,
Oh,
thank you. Any other
oh,
questions?
sorry. I didn't know.
Okay, number 20, thank you, Dr. Meyer. Number 20, public comment. Our agenda offers 2 public comment sections. Opinions, ideas, and concerns that are offered by the public will be considered and taken under advisement. We have set aside 15-minute period, giving the audience time to share their thoughts with us. Please raise your hand to be acknowledged by the board president. When called upon, please identify yourself and give your address, limiting your comments to 3 minutes. I request that if you wish to make a comment, you please use the microphone that is located in the middle of the room. Would anyone like to make a comment? Don't all speak at once. No one?
Can I say something?
Yes, sure.
Could you, Dr. Meyer, Lee, I don't see, like, could you guys make sure that the teachers get a thank you for the maple syrup?
I sent out a.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was
Hopefully
very
they
nice.
got it.
I thought about that on the way up tonight, like, it's like, oh, I never did anything, and I got really.
Yeah, they did send out and brought it to the office, so I'm assuming that the Teachers Association received it. Okay, any other comments? Yes.
Eric, each person over there has a name tag like this, because I don't know who any of these people are. I don't,
So everyone at a
so I
table?
can't say, hey, you, over there. It's only right, everybody knows, we're not in the school enough to see them. So I'd like
Right,
to see the
Mr.
name.
Fenton is new, so it would be helpful probably to him. if-
It doesn't have to hang over their neck, with a big, It's just something where we understand who everybody is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That makes sense. Good suggestion. All right, thank you. Number 21, next meeting. A, regular meeting will be on Thursday, January 8th at 2026, 6 p.m. at the Lakeview campus. And 22, executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering the executive session for the following reason. A, number 6, to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or persons. And B, number 8, to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property or the proposed acquisition, sale, or exchange of securities, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value of these things. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session? Okay, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Aye, I'm sorry, opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes to enter into executive session.
I think quick.
Yeah, it'll be quick, and we probably will not be any action after. The years are free to stay if you'd like, or you may go home where you have a nice day home. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for attending.